Харе Кришна, 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 Харе Харе. Харе Рама, 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 Харе Харе. Харе Krishna, devotees, nice to see all of you. Харе Харе Бол.
Recording in progress.
Om Agyana Timiranda Syagananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svairupa Kadama Yam Dadati Svapadantikam Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sinubhya Eva Chapatitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavabhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vas Adigoura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay, devotees, so today's plan, our plan is to cover the 13th chapter, to finish with 13th chapter, and maybe we will cover a few verses from the next one. Let's see how it will go, and we will continue our discussion from this verse number 13.24. Basically, last time we already have read this verse, 13.24. So let's remind ourselves what was written in this verse. One who understands this philosophy concerning material nature, the living entity, and the interaction of the modes of nature, is sure to attain liberation. He will not take birth here again, regardless of his present position. So today we are going to discuss how liberation becomes possible because of this knowledge, how it works, and how to attain particular level of this knowledge in such way that this knowledge will help us with this liberation from samsara. So this knowledge is quite important, and in purport, Srila Prabhupada, he writes about the purpose of this knowledge. Knowledge itself was described in the verses from 13.8 to 13.12, as you probably remember, Amanitvam, Adamhitvam, and so on. So what is the result of knowledge? The purpose of knowledge is to understand distinctly that the living entity has by chance fallen into this material existence. Let's check what does it mean by chance. Let's open the dictionary. Let's see what does it mean by chance. Because you see, it is quite interesting. These BBT translations, sometimes BBT translations are good, sometimes are not. In Russian translation, we have, it is written not by chance, it is written by mistake. In English version, it is written by chance. So let's check the dictionary. What does it actually means by chance? By chance it means, it is Cambridge Dictionary. If something happens by chance, it happens without being planned or intended, or without any known cause. For example, I got this job completely by chance, or we met quite by chance in the supermarket, and so on and so on. It's not by chance that the country is in the worst economic state that it has been for decades, and so on and so on. So by chance means without intention and also without any known cause.
Unexpected? Unexpected?
Well, it is not written here. Yeah, it is not intended. Intended means unexpected or not intended. It is all the same. Or without any known cause. Well, there is law of karma in material world. So basically it means there is cause. There is always cause for everything. But we can be informed about this cause, or it can be such situation that we don't know what cause is. So to come here in material world by chance, one of the meaning, it means that we don't know what is the cause, how it happened. We're here from time immemorial. So what were the details of this story? We don't remember. It was long time ago. And many philosophers between Vaishnavas, they are discussing how living entity, how this eternal soul came to this material world, and what was the root and how it happened and so on. And Srila Prabhupada, he is saying that it is not so much important to discuss the details how we got here. The most important point is to discuss how to get out from here. And he gives the example of a fly. There is a fly in the room. Somehow fly is in the room. We don't know how it happened. From which window this fly came to the room. The main task of the fly to get out from the room and to fly somewhere outside, you know. The same way our goal is to get out from samsara, is to go back to spiritual world, and the details how we came here is not it's not so much important. It is tricky discussion for tricky minds, you know. Why should we waste time for this? We can just chant holy names. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And one of the conditions how one can become eligible for liberation, it is mentioned in the same purport to 13.24. What is needed here? By his personal endeavor in association with authorities, saintly persons, and a spiritual master, he has to understand his position and then revert to spiritual consciousness or Krishna consciousness by understanding Bhagavad Gita. So no one can do this without sadhu sangha, without spiritual guidance. It is one of the rules how one can become free from samsara, not just to read these books about kshetra, kshetragya, and jnana, and gyayam, but also one should get this knowledge from lotus lips of spiritual master, from self-realized soul, and it will help one to understand it exactly in proper way. Verse number 25.
Prabhu, just one question, Prabhu. Sorry, Prabhu.
Okay, but you please try to make your questions shorter because we have to cover the chapter. Yes. Okay.
The word chants, is it only for the human beings or all living entities?
For all living entities who are able to follow spiritual path under spiritual guidance.
Okay.
Yeah. Dogs and cats also can progress if we will feed them prasadam. But it is really rare. So many dogs, so many cats, and not so many devotees who are feeding animals with prasadam. If some cat or dog gets prasadam, means this animal is really lucky, really fortunate. Does it answer on your question? Haribol, does it answer on your question, Prabhuji?
Yes, Prabhu.
Oh, very nice. Then please read the verse on the screen.
Text 25.
Yeah, yes.
Yenaina atmani pasyanti kechit atmanam atmana anye sake ena yogena karma yogena cha pare. Translation: some perceive the super soul within themselves through meditation, others through the cultivation of knowledge, and still others through working without fruitive desires.
Thank you very much. So here in this purport, Srila Prabhupada gives particular word combination which is quite interesting. This word combination is the sense of spiritual understanding. The sense of spiritual understanding. And he writes that there are three categories of people who are beyond the sense of spiritual understanding, means they are unable for, not qualified for spiritual understanding. Those are atheistic people, skeptical people, and people who follow this agnosticism philosophy. Agnosticism philosophy means we cannot say if Supreme Lord exists or not, and basically it is not so much important. Let's just live our life without this questions. Just make it simple. It is agnosticism philosophy. We cannot understand who Supreme Lord is, and we cannot deny or prove his existence. It is philosophy, and usually those who are atheistic people or skeptical or agnostics, they just are lacking Bhakti Sukriti. Bhakti Sukriti is needed for performing devotional service according to the particular chapter of Nectar of Devotion. There is a book, Nectar of Devotion, and there is particular chapter in this book in which this qualification to perform devotional service is mentioned. So these people, they have no Sukriti, Bhakti Sukriti, they have no spiritual qualification, they have no sense of spiritual understanding. And another category who is who are faithful in their understanding of spiritual life. In Sanskrit, we call them karmis, jnanis, and bhaktas. So they, those who always try to establish the doctrine of monism, are also counted among the atheists and agnostics. Also a very important point. There is such category of monistic people or impersonalists who consider themselves to be absolute. That's why when they see each other, they are greeting each other, addressing to each other as Narayana. You are Narayana, I am Narayana, and so on and so on. So this monism philosophy is quite dangerous, because the process of service, it is about that there is a master and there is a servant and there is interaction between them. And philosophy of monism, it is about that everything is equal. There is no masters, there is no servants, everything is equal. So to accept monism philosophy means to deny the process of service itself, that there is a master and there are those who are subordinate to the master. So this philosophy is dangerous for Bhakti Lata Bija. Only the devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are best situated in spiritual understanding, because they understand that beyond this material nature are the spiritual world and the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is expanded as the Paramatma, the super soul in everywhere, the all-pervading Godhead. And different processes are given here. There are devotees who are following Bhakti Yoga process. There are Sankhya philosophers. They are analyzing this material world, which contains 24 elements. And there is element number 25. It means individual soul, Jivatma. And there is element number 26, means Supreme Lord. So ultimately, by analyzing these details of material creation, they come to the conclusion that there is a creator, there is a Supreme Lord. It is also the process how one can progress spiritually. And this Sankhya philosophy is described in the 3rd canto of Bhagavatam by Lord Kapila Dev. So each and every person, they are progressing. Karmis, Jnanis, it is yoga ladder. Maybe you remember, yoga ladder. It is the last verse of the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, verse number 6.47, right? 47, where Bhakti Yogas as the highest yogis are described. Maybe you remember this verse. If you don't remember, just let's remind each other about the very existence of this verse, 6.47. Yoginam api sarvisham madgatanantar atmana shradavan bhajate yomam sameyukta tamomataha. And of all yogis, the one with great faith, who always abides in me, thinks of me within himself, and renders transcendental loving service to me, he is the most ultimately united with me in yoga and is the highest of all. That is my opinion. It is Krishna's opinion. It is not just someone's opinion. It is Krishna's opinion. It is important. So yogis, bhakti yogas, yogis are the highest. And there are other. There are karmis, there are gyanis, there are hatha yogis, and all of them, they are on particular particular stairs of this yoga ladder. And we're very fortunate because Srila Prabhupada gave us the very essence of this Vedic culture, spiritual culture, Vaishnava culture. We're very lucky, very fortunate. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. And we're going to the next verse, verse number 26. And, Narottama Prabhuji, would you like to read the verse? Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhuji, Hare Krishna. Verse 26. Anyetava evam ajanantaha shrutva nibhya upasate te api chati bharanti eva mrityum shruti parayanaha. Translation. Again, there are those who, although not conversant in spiritual knowledge, begin to worship the Supreme Person when hearing about him from others. Because of their tendency to hear from authorities, they also transcend the path of birth and death. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So you see, a person can be not so much conversant in spiritual knowledge, or he can be not so much intelligent person. So what is the essence of spiritual life? Even if we don't have such specific qualification which is needed to be, for example, Ashtanga yogi or Jnani. To be Ashtanga yogi, not the easiest thing. One should be physically fit and mentally fit, and to be Jnani also some qualification is needed. And even if there is no particular qualification, person is not so much austere or is not so much knowledgeable anyway, how he or she can begin? They can start from Shravanam process. Shravanam process. This Shravanam process will help them to transcend the path of birth and death, to transcend samsara. It is the power of Shravanam process. And Srila Prabhupada, he writes in the purport that Shravanam process includes to hear about Krishna from authoritative source, and it also includes to chant holy names of Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And in this verse 13.26, we have this Sanskrit word, the very first Sanskrit word, anye. Anye, which means others, means there are karmis, there are gyanis, there are yogis, and there are others. Like, for example, we're saying there are bhaktas, there are devotees of Krishna, and there are so-called ordinary people. We are using this term, ordinary people, for those who are not practicing. So for those who are not practicing, Krishna is using here in this verse 13.26 this particular word anye. Anye, which means person who is not bhakta or jnani or karmi. And we will open now this book, which I shared with you last time. And in this book, just one moment, let me open this book. And in this book, we have the quote. This book, Srila Prabhupada's quotes. We have a quote where Srila Prabhupada explains about this anye, or all common men. What does it mean, anye? One who doesn't know. They don't know what is this body, what is the occupier of the body, what is the Purusha, what is the Uttama Purusha or Purushottama, or what is field of activities, what is this Prakriti, nature, how it's working. They don't know anything. We are opening centers all over the world. Why? Why? Even they don't know, they can hear. Just we're opening centers all over the world, just to give them the chance to hear. if people only come to these centers of spiritual knowledge, Krishna consciousness movement, hear the Bhagavad Gita as it is, then they also can derive the benefit so much so that they can also stop their repetition of birth, death, and old age. It is so nice thing. So nice thing. Krishna is discussing in this chapter what is kshetra, what is kshetragya, what is knowledge, what is knowable, what is prakriti, what is purusha, who is studying all these things. Like Srila Prabhupada was usually telling that there are so many universities, so many scientific institutes, and there is no scientific institute who will study the nature of the soul, the nature of Jivatma. Who is studying all these things? There is no institution, no school, college, university to study these things. This Krishna consciousness movement is being pushed on so that the Gokharaga may kindly come and hear Bhagavad Gita and see how the deity is being worshipped, how Krishna is recognized as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Gokharaga. It is from one verse from 10th canto of Bhagavatam. Gokharaga, it means people who are like animals, who are like bulls and cows, means they are not intelligent, this particular category of people. Gokharaga. Those who are on bodily conception, those who consider his material body to be himself, or who consider the land where he took birth to be object of worship. It is the symptom that this particular person, human being, doesn't have human consciousness. He has consciousness which is typical for the animal, like cows or bulls or asses. Such critical verse we have in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So it is not so much pleasant to listen about ourselves if because all of us, there was a day when we came to Krishna, to ISKCON center first time, and we didn't know anything. It is not so much pleasant to hear that we were belonging to this category. There is another term, innocent people. Innocent people, they have no knowledge, but they are not opposing to the knowledge, and they wish to know what is what and who is who. And Srila Prabhupada explains in this particular quote that we are constructing Krishna ISKCON temples in order to help people with this Shravanam process. This class was given 25th of October 1973 in Mumbai, in Bombay, in that period of time when Srila Prabhupada was constructing famous Juhu temple. So that's why in this quote, Mr. Nair is also mentioned, this Indian gentleman who was always against Srila Prabhupada's attempts to construct this Juhu temple. Otherwise, Srila Prabhupada is saying here, otherwise, why in this old age? What is the use of fighting with Mr. Nair and take this land, ISKCON Juhu land? Because we're anxious to open centers, people may come and take advantage of it. That is our mission. We don't want that they remain Gokharagas and lose the chance of this human body. Our mission is very big. The best welfare work. Very important quote. Historical quote, because it is related to this famous Juhu temple. I suppose that some of you visited this temple. If some of you didn't visit Juhu temple in Mumbai yet, most welcome, because it is so special place. And Srila Prabhupada was saying that, what he was saying, Bombay is my office, right? Bombay is my office, Mumbai is my office, and Vrindavan is my home, as far as I remember. So this place was quite important, very important for our founder Acharya. So the same way like we visit Jagannath Puri, Mayapur, Vrindavan, the same way we should plan to visit Juhu Temple in Mumbai at least once in our life, at least one time in our life, we should visit this special place. I already visited it 3 times. No, even 4. And I wish you also to go to that place. Very nice place with enthusiastic devotees. We're going back to Bhagavad Gita. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So you see, this term Anye is mentioned here. Anye means others, or common people, or innocent people. But innocent people, it is not that we are about to neglect innocent people or those who are Gokharagas. No, Srila Prabhupada takes care of them. He was fighting for Juhu Temple to help people in Mumbai to listen about Krishna. Very important point. And we're going to the next verse where Srila Prabhupada, where Krishna explains what he explains. Just one moment. Oh, it is another part of the chapter. You can write in your notes that the verses from 27 to 35 to the last verse, 35, from 27 to 35, these verses, they belong to particular group of the verses in this chapter, and the name of this group is Jnana Chakshu. Jnana Chakshu, or the ability to see the world which is around us through the eyes of sacred scriptures. Jnana Chakshu. So we're going to discuss these verses from 27 to 35. It is Jnana Chakshu. And, okay. Taruna Jagannath Prabhuji, would you like to read this verse? Would you like to read this verse? Hare Krishna.
Yavat sanjayate kinchit satvam stavara jangamam setra setrajna samyogat tat vidi bharata sabha.
Okay.
Translation.
Yeah, translation.
O chief of the Bharatas, know that whatever you see in existence, both the moving and the non-moving, is only a combination of the field of activities and the knower of the field. Krishna.
Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. So, in these verses, it is, 2 things are explained. The first thing which is explained here in these verses from 26 to 35, it is how a person in perfect knowledge means that knowledge from 13th chapter, how this person in perfect knowledge perceives reality around him. What is his perception? It is one point, and the another point, what should one do? What should the person do to achieve this level of consciousness? So in this verse, it is one of the aspects of how self-realized soul perceives the world around him. One of the aspects that he is looking on different living entities around him, and he sees that it is only a combination of a field of activities and the knower of the field, means Kshetragya and Kshetra. We're looking on a person, on a man, on a woman, on a dog, on a cat, with understanding there is a soul inside and there is material covering which is around. And basically only material covering is visible for our material eyes. But if we are fixed in this transcendental knowledge, we understand that there is a soul inside. And because of the soul, consciousness is there. This particular type of perception, particular type of how to perceive the world around us, was already described in the 8th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. It is verse in fifth chapter of Bhagavad Gita. It is verse 5.18. It is about self-realized Muni, self-realized Pandit, who is self-realized. Vidya Vinaya Sampane, Brahmane Gavi Hastini, Shuni Chaiva Shvapaki Cha, Panditach Sama Darshanaga. This verse was also given for memorization, right? 5.18. The humble sages, by virtue of true knowledge, see with equal vision a learned and gentle Brahmana, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and a dog-eater, outcast. Means they are looking on different living entities and they understand in each and every body, soul is present. Because of the karma, material covering is different. It is knowledge in mode of goodness or even transcendental knowledge. But if a person is under the influence of mode of passion, we are going to discuss modes of material nature in the next chapter. If he is under the influence of mode of passion, he will be discriminating. He will be be saying that these living entities are inferior, that living entity is superior, and so on, and different philosophers and ideologies like nationalism and so on, it comes from this position that when a person perceives other living entities on the basis of their bodies, what bodies they have, what material covering they have. But Vidya Vinaya Sampane, those who are in Vidya, those who are in knowledge, they see all these different living entities with equal vision. Of course, it doesn't mean that they interact with these living entities in similar way. Of course, it depends with whom we interact, with a human being or with a cockroach or with a tiger and so on. There will be some differences how we will be interacting with different living entities in different material bodies, but this spiritual understanding is always there. And regarding this spiritual understanding, we have one nice story from Satsvarupa Dasa Goswami's book, which is called Prabhupada Nectar, Srila Prabhupada Nectar. We have wonderful story here, which is entitled, I Have My Bhagavad Gita. And the story is going like this. An elderly Indian gentleman who visited Prabhupada in his room became gradually critical of Srila Prabhupada's preaching. Swamiji, the man said, you should not criticize so many persons. You should see everyone equally. The Bhagavad Gita says, Panditach Sama Darshanaga. You should see everybody equally. Prabhupada replied, that is the higher stage. I am not on that stage, I distinguish. On the higher stage, you don't distinguish between pious activity and sinful activity, but I distinguish. I say, you are sinning and you should stop. As the discussion continued, Prabhupada kept referring to the previous acharyas in order to support his viewpoint. I have my Bhagavad Gita, said Prabhupada. I have my acharyas. I stand on their authority. Pursuing the argument, Prabhupada's visitor said, what have you done beyond that? You are just repeating what they've done. What have you done? Prabhupada replied, I have not done anything. I am simply repeating. So my contribution is that I have made this knowledge available to people all over the world. Without discrimination, I have given Krishna consciousness to everyone. That is my contribution, and that is my version of Panditach Sama Darshanaha. Prabhupada concluded the interview with those words, and the man expressed gratefulness. Later in the hall, while leaving, the man was remarking out loud to himself, very interesting, he sees everyone equally. This story was narrated by His Holiness Giriraja Swami Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada's disciples. So Pandita Samadarshanaha in case of Srila Prabhupada means to give this access to Bhagavad Gita, to this spiritual knowledge to everyone, to different people from different countries, any corner of the globe. And this Indian gentleman was happy to get such answer. And we're going further. And of course, this intention to give Krishna consciousness to everyone is based that each and every human being who is able to read, he can be in Indian body, American body, Russian body, Indonesian body, Malaysian, and so on and so on. It's not so much important. We have the soul inside, and the soul should be taken out from material world, from samsara. So not so much important what is around, I mean, what kind of material covering is there, but the need of spiritual soul for this spiritual nourishment is always there. So it is Pandita Samadarshanaha. And those who are engaged in preaching mission, which is given by Srila Prabhupada in form of book distribution, prasadam distribution, harinam, and so on, they can also get this experience. They can get this gyan just by sharing this knowledge of Krishna with others. They gradually can understand that, of course, we deal with different categories of people. But anyway, all of them, they need Krishna. Like George Harrison, he wrote in preface to Krishna book, everyone is searching for Krishna. All you need is love. Everyone is searching for Krishna. It is not that everyone understands that he is searching for Krishna, but Krishna is that they need. So those who are engaged in preaching, those who are preachers, or those who assist, or those who donate to the preaching mission, they can get this realization that people, it is not important which age, which gender, which nation, which political views, not so much important anyway. We're souls and we need Krishna because we are parts and parcels of Krishna. Verse number, just one moment, sorry. We're going here. Verse number 28, 1328, and Keshavi Palini Mataji, would you like to read the verse? Switch on the mic, please.
Sorry, Prabhu.
Yeah,
Hare
that's
Krishna,
okay.
Samam sarvesu bhutesu tishanta prameswaram vinayasva avinasyantam yapashyati cha pashyati. Translation. One who sees the super soul accompanying the individual soul in all bodies, and who understands that neither the soul nor the super soul within the destructible body is ever destroyed, actually sees. Hare Krishna. Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. So you see, the one aspect is to understand that soul is there inside the body, and one more aspect to understand that super soul is also there. And maybe you have read or you have heard this story of Shiva, Daksha, Sati, and how Shiva was offended by Daksha. And in the purport, in one of the purports, Srila Prabhupada explains that Daksha was expecting some respect from Shiva, and Shiva didn't express his respect externally to whom? To Daksha. So Daksha was feeling himself offended, being in a bodily conception of life. Shiva could not express this respect because he was in meditation at this particular moment, in this particular period of time. So in purport, there is very important, very interesting point. Srila Prabhupada explains that each and every moment when we greet each other, when we fold our hands like this, to whom these hands and to whom our greetings are addressed? To the super soul who is inside everyone's heart. So basically, externally, Shiva didn't express any, he didn't greet Daksha. But internally, because Shiva was in meditation on Supreme Personality of Godhead, he already was on this meditation. And when you fold your hands and when you express your respect to a living entity, you respect this living entity to the Super Soul who is within his heart. So it is the same. He already was expressing this gratitude to the Supreme Lord because he was meditating on Supreme Lord. But because Daksha was in a bodily conception of life, he was unable to understand these subtle spiritual things. So when we fold our hands, we first of all we greet Super Soul. Super Soul and Soul, they are all together inside the body. Anyway, these folded hands are not addressed to the gross material body. Anyway, it is not for the gross material body. Materialistic people, they have this bodily conception and they think that these folded hands are addressed to them and their bodies according to their perception. But it is not about body. Body will perish, and the living entity will get a new one. And who knows what kind of body he or she will get? We don't know. It depends on our actions. In purport, Srila Prabhupada explains that there is a term Parameshvara in the Sanskrit here, Parameshvaram, and Parameshvara is translated in word-by-word translation as Super Soul, Parama Ishvara, but at the same time, the same way like term Kshetragya we use for soul and we use for Krishna. The same way Parameshvara, term Parama Ishvara, Parameshvara also can be used for living entity and for Supreme Personality of Godhead, as it is written in this purport. The Sanskrit word Parameshvara is sometimes translated as the individual soul, because the soul is the master of the body, and after the destruction of the body, he transfers to another form. In that way, he is a master. We are masters. Congratulations, dear devotees, we're masters. We're temporary masters of these temporary material bodies, but anyway, something is better than nothing, right? At least we are some kind of masters. But there are others who interpret this Parameshvara to be the Super Soul. In either case, both the Super Soul and the individual soul continue. They are not destroyed. One who can see in this way can actually see what is happening. Both of them, they are indestructible. And it is the aspects of this Jnana Chakshu to understand that there is a soul in body. Soul is indestructible. There is Super Soul who is guiding this soul. Super Soul is also indestructible. Body is destructible. And person is fixed in this particular type of vision, Shastra Chakshu. If we are speaking about materialistic viewpoint, by default, how it works? We are bodies, we live just once, and this body of another person is an object of my enjoyment. And it is materialistic viewpoint, but if we will take a devotional viewpoint, it is another viewpoint. There is a soul. First of all, there is a soul. Soul is important. Material body is not so much important because it is perishable. Of course, we should take care of our bodies to take care of our health in order to serve Krishna better. But anyway, it is perishable. So those who are in knowledge, they are looking on other living entities. They understand there is a soul, first of all, and the soul part and parcel of Krishna. And because he or she is part and parcel of Krishna, this part and parcel of Krishna is not meant for my enjoyment. It is meant for Krishna's enjoyment. And this living entity is covered by material body, which is, according to our Vaishnava theology, philosophy, and so on, material body is not an object of enjoyment. It is mainly considered to be the way how we are imprisoned in this material world. And day after day, year after year, we become younger and younger, right? And and because of that, because age is changing day after day, year after year, we can feel how we are imprisoned and conditioned with this body and with the condition of our body. And so it is serious difference between materialistic perception and spiritual perception. Verse 13.29, and Mataji Mira, would you like to read the verse?
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Samam Pashyan hi sarvatra samavastitam Ishwaram na hinasti atmanatmanam tato yati param gatim. Translation: one who sees the super soul equally present everywhere in every living being does not degrade himself by his mind. Thus he approaches the transcendental destination. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Mataji. So this verse is very important because mind is always, he tries to guide living entity in his life. Mind is always, sometimes he accepts something, sometimes he rejects something, and he is trying to give instructions to the living entity. Do this, do that. And usually it is all materialistic ideas that are not beneficial. Mainly they are not beneficial for spiritual advancement. Like we remember from the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita that mind of a conditioned living entity, he can be our friend or our enemy, likely you remember. And he is friend if he agrees to practice Krishna consciousness, to follow this Krishna consciousness path. Then he is friend. Otherwise, by default, he is our enemy, and he gives us troubles with his ideas. And His Holiness Gopala Krishna Goswami Maharaj, my spiritual master, was given an example. He was saying, like, for example, you have a friend, and he approaches you and he asking you that, can you give me some money for some time and I will return, I will reimburse after some time. And then he doesn't give money back. And if this happens with us, we're not going to believe, we're not going to trust to this person anymore. It works. It is how it works in ordinary life. If trust is broken once or twice, usually we don't believe to that person anymore. But this material mind is so special. He is cheating us life after life after life for time immemorial. But anyway, still we believe him. Why? Because living entity is, because of his conditioning, he thinks that this mind is myself and these thoughts are also mine. And of course I'm smart, I'm clever person, so how I can commit mistakes? Just let me follow my ideas. How we can understand that we are not this mind? Just by chanting holy names of Krishna, because Maha Mantra, manas means mind, and trayate means to become free from influence of mind. So when we chant holy names, we become able to feel that there is mind who generates different ideas, and there is an observer. We are observers to this mind, and it is not that we always agree to these ideas, that mind proposes to us. That's why it is important to chant holy names. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Mind always, he is always trying to guide living entity, and super soul also trying to guide by arranging different situations when we get spiritual books, for example, or we meet some spiritual practitioners. So it was explained in previous purports that super soul is nearby, and there is freedom. There is freedom of choice. Living entity, he can use this freedom, but anyway, super soul from his side, super soul is trying to put us back on Krishna consciousness path. Basically, it is choice. There are just two options: to follow mind's orders or to follow super soul's orders. Of course, to get this qualification, to be able to listen Paramatma's orders, super soul orders, one has to achieve quite elevated stage of spiritual consciousness, which is called asakti. Asakti means attachment to Supreme Lord. His Holiness Srila Niranjana Swami explains that before we attained asakti, we cannot be sure. We cannot be sure about this inner voice inside us, about these ideas that we hear from this voice. So instead of super soul, there are other sources of bona fide knowledge. Guru, sadhu, shastra. Because of material senses, Satak Shri Krishna Namadi Nabhavit Grahyam Indriyai, because of that, we're unable to listen to the voice of super soul. Sometimes we're able, but very rare. Mainly we're unable. But because instead of this, we can stick to Guru, sadhu, shastra. And it will be our protection from the influence of materialistic mind. Otherwise it will be the degradation will be happening. The degradation which is mentioned in this verse. One who sees the super soul equally present everywhere in every living being doesn't degrade himself by his mind. So if we want to be protected from this degradation, from this path of degradation to which materialistic mind always trying to inspire us to follow this path, what should we do? We should stick to Guru, Sadhu, Shastra, and we should not take too much serious different orders or ideas of our mind. And we are going to open this website, which is mahavishnugoswami.com. Mahavishnu Goswami, Srila Prabhupada's disciple, who passed away 16 years ago, in the age of 92. 92. So one of his disciples, Adipurush Krishna Das, he explains, following the instructions of his spiritual master Mahavishnu Goswami, he explains how this mind works, and he gives the story. Once there was a king who had a monkey which did lots of pranks, and the king liked and loved this very much and used to encourage him. He was so fond of this monkey that he used to put the garlands offered to him by his subjects onto the neck of the monkey. He began liking his monkey so much so that he would listen to whatever the monkey proposed to him. It is the story, Vedic story. One day he decided that the monkey would be his personal guard. Once the king was fast asleep, and the monkey was guarding him so that nobody would disturb him. All of a sudden, from nowhere, a fly appeared and was buzzing above the king's face. The monkey tried to drive it away, but could not succeed, and later the fly made some circles around the king's face, and finally landed on his nose. The monkey saw this and thought that this was a chance to kill the fly. He looked around searching for a weapon and finally found the king's sword in its sheath. He ran and pulled the sword and climbed on the king's body and raised the sword to strike the fly sitting on the king's nose. Very interesting story, right? Very interesting story. The king suddenly woke up by Krishna's mercy, by chance, by unknown cause. He woke up and saw the foolish monkey about to chop off his nose. He raised a big alarm, and the guards came running and caught the monkey and brought it under control. The king learned a lesson the hard way. We all living entities should make efforts to exercise control over the mind, which otherwise the mind will start controlling us like the monkey. Monkey is jumping and mind is always jumping from one subject matter to another. So we cannot rely on our mind. This Vedic story gives us such instruction. And also there is verse from Srimad Bhagavatam 5.11.17 where Jada Bharata gives instructions to King Rahugana, and he explains how should one deal with this mind. This uncontrolled mind is the greatest enemy of the living entity. If one neglects it or give it a chance, it will grow more and more powerful and will become victorious. Although it is not factual, it is very strong. It covers the constitutional position of the soul. Again, mind covers the constitutional position of the soul. Means mind is trying to play a role of a replacement for super soul. Soul is meant to listen super soul's instructions. But mind is trying to replace. Just listen to me. I have many good ideas for you to follow. And the more one is conditioned with his mind, the more he forgets about himself as an observer of this mind, as a soul. O king, please try to conquer this mind by the weapon of service to the lotus feet of the spiritual master and of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Do this with great care. It is one of the weapons how one can conquer the mind. First of all, one should try to neglect mind. Srila Prabhupada, he writes it in the purport to the verse 5.11.7. One should try to neglect mind and its ideas, but also one should obey the orders of spiritual master. It should be our alternative. Mind is trying to play the role of spiritual master. Mind is trying to play the role of super soul. And by chanting holy names of Krishna, we put ourselves in the position of observer, that okay, there is mind, but it is not me. It is just some conditioning, some construction which is in my subtle body. And this mind is trying to convince me to do something which is not always beneficial for me. The role of a spiritual master in this process of conquering the mind is important, because usually spiritual master is one who is Goswami, according to the first verse of Nectar of Instruction. You are going to read this book, to study this book also. And the qualification of spiritual master, qualification of Goswami, is mentioned in the first verse of Nectar of Instruction, that he controls his mind. So to whom we serve, those qualities we get. If we serve to spiritual master who controls his mind and also his anger, his tongue, his speech, and so on, if we serve to spiritual master who controls all this, Actually, it is not that he controls this, but it is controlled by internal energy, by divine energy, by spiritual energy, because he is in the process of devotional service. So it is controlled by this energy. Anyway, it is controlled, all these things are controlled, and by serving spiritual master, we also can get this qualification, and our mind will become more peaceful. And in Srimad Bhagavatam, verse 10:87:33, one more point is mentioned about the nature of conditioned mind. The mind is like an impetuous horse that even persons who have regulated their senses and breathe cannot control. Those in this world who try to tame the uncontrolled mind, but who abandon the feet of their spiritual master, encounter hundreds of obstacles in their cultivation of various distressful practices. O unborn Lord, they are like merchants on a boat in the ocean who have failed to employ a helmsman. Helmsman means to employ those who will show them the way. Spiritual master is usually compared with captain who shows the way. So mind is like an impetuous horse, means one can easily fall down from this horse. Horse is not trained. Horse is wild. Mind also can become really wild sometimes. But we have a medicine, we have Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Each and every moment when we feel that anger is trying to conquer us, or lust is trying to conquer us, or envy is trying to conquer, is fighting with us, then we just should take our Japamala and chant some additional rounds, and then we will see how this spiritual power will help us to overcome these negative tendencies. Mind is so tricky. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Antya Lila 4.176. Dvaite Badara Gyana Saba Mano Dharma Ei Bala Ei Manda Se Saba Brahma. The nature of a mind, or Manodharma, is described here. In the material world, conceptions of good and bad are all mental speculations. Therefore, saying this is good, this is bad, Ei Bhalo Ei Manda, saying this is good, this is bad, it is all a mistake. And in purport, Srila Prabhupada explains, when one is absorbed in the illusory energy of Krishna and cannot understand Krishna, one cannot ascertain what is good for him and what is bad. Conceptions of good and bad are all imaginations of mental speculations. When one forgets that he is an eternal servant of Krishna, he wants to enjoy the material world through different plans. At that time, he distinguishes between material plans that are good and those that are bad. Actually, however, they are all false. So those who are fixed in knowledge, which is described in 13th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, those consider themselves to be souls, to be parts and parcels of Krishna, to be servants. And those who, under the influence of their minds, they consider themselves to be Vishai, enjoyer. I'm a body, I'm enjoyer, and I'm going to follow orders, not orders of spiritual master, but orders of my materialistic mind. Materialistic mind, sometimes he rejects something, sometimes he accepts something, but all these tendencies of materialistic mind are based on the desire to enjoy material world. That's why we approach spiritual master and we're asking, how can I serve you? And actually, what will be beneficial for me? And we expect that representative of Krishna, he knows better what is best for me. And he knows better how can I satisfy Krishna. Because this experience to satisfy ourselves, we have huge experience of our attempts to satisfy ourselves, but we didn't succeed. We have this story in Srimad Bhagavatam, story of King Yayati, who was trying to enjoy sex life for many years and he didn't succeed, and he asked his youngest son to give him his youth to enjoy more, and he was enjoying more. Still, he was not satisfied. So it is the nature of material world and material senses. Material senses can never be satisfied with material objects because we ourselves were not material, we're spiritual, we're souls. So the satisfaction is possible on spiritual level only. So mind is such a thing that he is trying to replace. He is trying to replace super soul. But those who are able to see super soul equally present everywhere in every living being, or those who are fixed in Guru Sadhu Shastra, those who are fixed in sadhana, then they are protecting them. By this, they are protecting themselves from the path of degradation. This path of degradation, which is so much attractive for materialistic mind, but it is not beneficial for living entity. Those who are trying to live as Vishaya or enjoyer in this material world, they become Atmaha. Atmaha. This term is used in Sri Shapanishad. Atmaha means killer of the soul. Of course, you can be surprised why it is said that he is killer of the soul. Soul is immortal. Soul is eternal. How one can kill the soul? Atmaha, or killer of the soul, means that he loses or he kills this opportunity to progress spiritually in human form of life, which is very rare. In that sense, to kill the soul means to kill the chance, to lose the chance for spiritual advancement. That's why this term is used in Sri Shapanishad, which you will be studying in this Bhakti Shastri course, verse 13.30, and Bhakti Priya Madhavi Devi Dasi Mataji, would you like to read the verse? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Prakrutyaiva cha karmani kriyamaणानि sarvashah yah pashyati tathatmana makartaram sapashyati. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. One who can see that all activities are performed by the body, which is created of material nature, and sees that the self does nothing, actually sees. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So you see, this statement was already there in the 5th chapter of Bhagavad Gita about those who have divine consciousness or Krishna consciousness. They are like observers. They see that there is a body, my body, and this body is breathing or eating or passing stool or snoring, but it is not me. And so they see this difference. And in the 5th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, we have these verses. These verses you already have read previously, verse 8 and verse 9 from 5th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. A person in the divine consciousness, although engaged in seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, eating, moving about, sleeping, and breathing, always knows within himself that he actually does nothing at all. Because while sleeping, evacuating, receiving, or opening or closing his eyes, he always knows that only the material senses are engaged with their objects and that he is aloof from them. And in purport, Srila Prabhupada explains this type of consciousness. He explains here how it works. Activities such as seeing, hearing are actions of the senses meant for receiving knowledge, whereas moving, speaking, evacuating, etc. are actions of the senses meant for work. There are two senses. When we're speaking about senses, there are two categories of senses. One category of senses is gyanendriya. Gyanendriya means those senses that are meant for getting some information from the world, which is external to us, gyanendriya. And there are karmendriyas. Karmendriya means senses that are meant for work, like our hands, our legs, and so on. A Krishna-conscious person is never affected by the actions of the senses. He cannot perform any act except in the service of the Lord, because he knows that he is the eternal servitor of the Lord. So this position, this ability to see that there is a body, my body, but it is not me, and I'm observing my body and my mind like from some distance. This capacity is also related with remembrance that we are parts and parcels of Krishna and eternal servitors of the Lord. One can get this vigyan, this realization, by active service in ISKCON temples. For example, one can become a pujari, and day after day, months after months, year after year, they are just doing all the same aratis, all the same procedures, all the same abhishekas. And after some time, it becomes really clear that there is my body, which I am just using in a regulated manner as an instrument, as one more paraphernalia to serve the deity. And there is myself, observer. I'm just looking on this like from some distance within me, and there is basically I'm just using this body in a particular way to satisfy Krishna. The same body could do some other sinful things, but by mercy of Srila Prabhupada, we are engaged in devotional service. And in 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, there is one point regarding the senses of such person, Krishna-conscious person, who is never affected by the actions of the senses. What does it mean? To be never affected by the actions of the senses. It means that he is so much absorbed in Krishna consciousness that and he is so much absorbed in this higher taste that the senses are not asking for anything else. Senses are not asking for anything else, and the person is just satisfied with this. And means senses are not asking for additional satisfaction, because satisfaction is already there. In Bhagavad Gita, in verse 18.54, there is one statement regarding these senses, how these senses are working. Where it is? Just one moment. Just let me find particular place. Just one moment. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. In that stage of existence, the idea of becoming one with the Supreme Brahman and annihilating one's individuality becomes hellish. Means when one is fixed in devotional service, he doesn't like this idea of Sayujya Mukti, of impersonal liberation, because he likes to serve. And if I will dissolve myself in Brahmajyoti, how I'm going to serve? So for a devotee, for a sincere and realized devotee, it is like a hell. This desire, this idea to be dissolved somewhere and not to be able to render service. In that stage of existence, the idea of becoming one with the Supreme Brahman and annihilating one's individuality becomes hellish. The idea of attaining the heavenly kingdom becomes phantasmagoria, and the senses are like serpents whose poison teeth are broken. Very nice analogy. If one is really fixed in devotional service and went through some purification process, has got some realizations, vigyan, then he is not attracted to some ideas of material happiness. This happiness is in Krishna consciousness is sufficient for him. And his senses in this case are compared with serpents whose poison teeth are broken. As there is no fear of a serpent with broken teeth, there is no fear from the senses when they are automatically controlled. Means if someone is on this level, there is no reason for him to be in fear. But if we didn't achieve this level yet, it will be much more better to be fearful regarding Mahamaya's tricks and regarding mind's tricks. If these senses didn't become like broken teeth of a serpent, then we should understand that we are in quite dangerous position, because each and any moment this mind, who is still our enemy, he can drive us somewhere outside Krishna consciousness. So we should stick to Guru Sadhu Shastra, to sadhana, to all these things, or all these prescriptions that are given by Srila Prabhupada to protect ourselves. Otherwise, we have this enemy who is our mind, materialistic mind, and this path of degradation is always possible if we are not cautious about it. And we are going further. And what do we have further? Verse number, just one moment. Yes, number 31, 13.31, and Mataji Divya, would you like to read it? Would you like to read the verse?
Yes, Prabhu, I'll read. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
13.31 Yada bhuta prakadbhavam ekastam anupashyati tata eva cha vistaram brahma sampadyate tada. Translation: when a sensible man ceases to see different identities due to different material bodies, and he sees how beings are expanded everywhere, he attains to the Brahman conception. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Now I'm going to check the Russian translation of this verse, just to understand it better. How should I explain you this verse? Just one moment. Okay, so it is all about this Brahma Vinaya Sampane. Brahma Vinaya Sampane, about this vision that all living entities are souls. They are in different material bodies, but anyway, they are souls. And when one can see this, Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport, he attains spiritual vision. Thus, being freed from differentiations like man, animal, big, low, etc., one becomes purified in his consciousness and able to develop Krishna consciousness in his spiritual identity. How he then sees things will be explained in the next verse. Next verses, we have two analogies that will help us to understand how this person who is free from bodily conception of life, who is able to see this nature, spiritual nature of living entities, how he perceives this world. Some more details about it will be given in next verses, and nice analogies will be used here to explain this subject matter. Verse number 32, and Hema Manjunath. Hema Manjunath Mataji. Hare Krishna. Please read the verse.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
31, no, Prabhuji. 31.
32, which is on the screen.
32. Okay. Yata sarvagata.
No, 32. 32, 32. This one, which is on the screen.
Okay. Anaditva nirgunatvat paramatma yamavyayah charirastopi kaunteya na.
Oh, very nice chanting. Sharira sthopi kaunteya, and then?
Yeah. Sharirastopi kaunteya na karoti na lipyate.
Okay.
Those with the vision of Hare Krishna, are you able to hear?
Yeah, I'm able.
Prabhuji?
You please, Mataji, you please read the translation.
Yeah. Those with the vision of eternity can see that the imperishable soul is transcendental, eternal, and beyond the modes of nature. Despite contact with the material body, O Arjuna, the soul neither does anything nor is entangled. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji. So, you see, Bhagavad Gita is such a book that many foundational important things are repeated here again and again for us, for forgetful souls to memorize it. So let's read again some verses from the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita. It will be verses 17 and 18, where the nature of a soul is described. And basically, in these verses, the same is told, which was told in that verse which Mataji Hema Manjunath read. Here in this verse 2.17, Krishna is saying to Arjuna, that which pervades the entire body you should know to be indestructible. No one is able to destroy that imperishable soul. And in the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains that individual consciousness is the symptom of the soul's presence. It is an important point. Soul is imperishable. It means our consciousness is also imperishable. Someone can do some harm for our material body, but no one can annihilate our consciousness. Consciousness is always there. Of course, we can elevate or degrade our consciousness using following different activities, but consciousness is always there. This fear of death, which is typical for a living entity, is related to the fear that my consciousness will be terminated, will be annihilated, but actually it is not possible because consciousness is the symptom of imperishable soul. So no one can destroy consciousness. Only material covering can be destroyed. So soul is imperishable, it is said in this verse 2.17, and the next verse 2.18 is saying Antavanta imedeha nitya syuktah sharirinaha anasino prameyasya tasmat yudhyasva bharata, which means the material body of the indestructible, immeasurable, and eternal living entity is sure to come to an end. Therefore, fight, O descendant of Bharata. So the spiritual knowledge includes our smaranam, our remembrance about that we ourselves as souls, we are imperishable, and material body is sure to come to an end. It also should be clearly understood. If we understand it clearly, then we, by mercy of spiritual master, by mercy of this practice of Krishna consciousness, we will not be too much worried about the destiny of material body. Of course, we should take care of the body, should take care of our health in order to serve more, to serve better, and we should elevate consciousness as much as we can. But consciousness is more important. Consciousness is more important than material covering that we have. We take care of our material covering only because our consciousness depends on the condition of our material covering. If someone is self-realized soul, Paramahamsa, Mahabhagavata, and so on, then he can neglect his material body because he already on particular level of spiritual consciousness. But if to speak about such people as we are, we should take care of our body. It is given, this instruction is given by Prahlad Maharaj here in 6th chapter of 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Prahlad Maharaj instructs his demoniac schoolmates, and he is saying here in the verse, which number is very easy to memorize, because the number is 765. Very easy to memorize. 765. So in this verse, Prahlada Maharaj is saying, while in material existence, Bhavam Ashritaha, a person fully competent to distinguish wrong from right must endeavor to achieve the highest goal of life as long as the body is strong and is not embarrassed by dwindling. Means that our ability to progress spiritually, if we are not Mahabhagavata or Paramahamsa, really depends on condition of our body. So for the sake of elevation of our consciousness, we take care of our body. But we are not going to act like materialistic people who are just whose priority is just happiness of gross material body, and for this happiness of gross material body, they are ready to degrade their consciousness. Just let my gross material body be happy. It is materialistic lifestyle. But devotional lifestyle and spiritual lifestyle is such that we are taking care of the body in order to maintain our consciousness and to maintain the level of advancement which we already achieved. In the purport to this verse, Srila Prabhupada writes, in verse number 765, purport, one should not fall from his exalted position. The highest goal of life can be achieved as long as one's body is strong. We should therefore live in such a way that we keep ourselves always healthy and strong in mind and intelligence, so that we can distinguish the goal of life from a life full of problems. A thoughtful man must act in this way, learning to distinguish right from wrong, and thus attain the goal of life. To distinguish right from wrong means to distinguish what is beneficial for spiritual advancement, what is not beneficial for spiritual advancement, to accept what is beneficial, to reject what is not beneficial, to have willpower to follow this path. So the condition of material body is quite important. Otherwise, if we have some problems with body or with our consciousness, because there is particular category of diseases of the brain, neurology, and all this dementia and other diseases that can destroy our consciousness, basically, can destroy. But Krishna is merciful. Even if our consciousness is destroyed, even if we, by some arrangement, we leave our body in unconscious or low conscious condition, anyway, consciousness is important, but also it is important what we were doing while we were conscious and while we were serving to Krishna, and Krishna, he remembers everything as Paramatma. Bhagavad Gita 15.15. And knowledge, forgetfulness, remembrance, everything comes from Paramatma, from Super Soul. Even if we forgot our own name because of the disease, Krishna remembers each and every of our attempts to satisfy Krishna, to satisfy spiritual master. It is so nice. And in Sri Shapanishad, you will read this verse where the person is praying just before leaving his body. He is praying that, "O Supreme Lord, now please remember, please just remember all that I've done for you." Basically, there is no need to pray for that because he remembers anyway. So the idea is we're taking care of our body in order to live longer, to live better in Krishna consciousness, to serve more, and to give Krishna more reasons to remember about our devotional service. The more devotional service we will do, the more reasons Krishna will have to remember of us. He will, and if this service will be really nice, then he will be attracted. He will be attracted. He will take care of us. He takes care even if we do a little thing in devotional service, like it was told in this verse from Bhagavad Gita 2.40. Maybe you remember this verse. Нахабхикрамо нашости, пратьявайо навидяте, свалпам апяся дармася, траете махато баят. In this endeavor, there is no loss or diminution, and a little advancement on this path, means path of devotional service, can protect one from the most dangerous type of fear. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains that the most dangerous type of fear means the chance to get lower form of life of a dog or of a cat. It is quite dangerous because if we get to the lower species of life, then we, for some period of time, quite long period of time, we have no chance to progress because we cannot control our life. We just follow the circumstances that we face in our life of a dog or life of a cat. But even a little advancement on this path can protect us to get this lower species of life. Means at least human form of life will be there. And it is nice. Means we will be able to chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. But of course, it would be much more better to make not just a little advancement, but reasonable advancement, good advancement on this path. So just invest our energy, our time to this spiritual practice. It will be very good for us and for other living entities who are around us. Verse number 33. And whom should I choose? Just one moment. Okay, maybe it is written here, Vanaja. Vanaja means Prabhuji or Mataji? Vanaja. Hare Krishna. Can you read the verse? Vanaja. Vanaya. Maybe someone can explain me. Is it male or female name? Vanaja.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, it's a Mataji.
Mataji's name. Aha. And Mataji is not responding to us. Okay.
Hare Krishna,
Yeah.
Prabhu.
Okay, Mataji,
Okay,
would you like to read?
Yeah. Yata sarvagatam saumyat akasam nopaliyate sarvasvashito dehe tatma nopaliyate. Prabhu, the translation I can see. The sky, due to its subtle nature, does not mix with anything, although it is all pervading. Similarly, the soul situated in Brahma vision does not mix with the body. though situated in that body.
Hare Krishna, thank you very much. So you see, the analogy is given here in this verse, in this purport, that there is air. Air can enter into stool or water or mud, but it doesn't mix with anything. Or sometimes the analogy is given that there is water and there is oil, and basically you cannot mix them. You can put them in the same container, and you can how to say in English? You can try to mix it, but anyway it will not be mixed. Just two different substances in the same container. So the same way, there is soul, there is body. They are connected to each other. Srila Prabhupada is using this saying to keep soul and body together. To live in such way that to keep soul and body together. So in some sense they are together. In some sense they are not, because they are not mixing. They are not mixing. Just this particular soul is revealing his or her consciousness through this particular material covering, and it goes through for some time, for some decades, and then we leave this covering, this body, and we get another one. There is no such mixture. So those who are in spiritual vision, they understand, I'm a soul, there is body. Of course, I can feel some discomfort from my body or some pain because there is ahankar or false ego, this part of conditioning, which technically makes this possible for me to feel comfort and discomfort of this material body. This particular aspect of conditioning makes it possible. But anyway, body is body, body is body, and soul is soul. Spirit and matter are not mixing with each other. Verse number 34, and okay, now we are we'll ask the same people to read. Dwarkadish Prabhuji, would you like to read the verse? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Text 34.
Yeah. Yes.
Yata prakshayati eka Krishnam lokam imam ravi Kshetram Kshetri tata Krishnam prakshyati Bharata Prakashyati Bharata. Translation: O son of Bharata, as the sun alone illuminates all this universe, so does the living entity, one within the body, illuminate the entire body by consciousness.
You see, even if body is alive, sometimes we can see some kind of light which comes from the eyes of a living entity, right? Some expression, not just expression, some kind of light, some kind of feeling that there is a life inside. Nice analogy. In the second chapter, there was another analogy, maybe you remember, that the same way, like for example, you have a medicine, you have vaccine, and you take this vaccine, and this vaccine goes throughout of your body. So the same way consciousness covers the whole body. Consciousness which is produced, which is the symptom of the soul, which is inside the body. And another analogy is given here, that the sun can illuminate all the universe, and the same way the entire body can be illuminated by consciousness, which is symptom of the soul, which is inside the body. And when someone left his body, then this body is not illuminated anymore. I think each and every person, each and every of us, we have this practical example that we have seen some dead bodies, and dead body looks a little bit in different way. It differs from a person who is alive. A person who is alive is really illuminated. His body is illuminated by consciousness which is inside. But dead body is not attractive anymore. Is not attractive at all. Is not attractive at all. That's why if someone is attracted to someone because of his physical because of his beauty, physical beauty. It is illusion to think that we are attracted to physical beauty. Usually, the main reason why one soul is attracted to another soul is the consciousness and character and qualities of a person. Likely you remember this famous story of so-called liquid beauty. Liquid beauty. Do you know the story of liquid beauty, by the way? No, you don't know this story of liquid beauty. Okay, let's open this story in Back to Godhead magazine. I remember it was published there, and we will just read it from there. It is classic story which was given by Srila Prabhupada. Back to Godhead magazine Kijai. Liquid beauty. Just let me find the place where it starts. Just one moment. In this connection, there is a nice story about how one young girl kept her beauty in a pot. Once there was a very beautiful girl, and the rich boy was after her. The girl was married, but she was not very rich. So the boy was always proposing to her that they enjoy sex life, and she became perplexed. She is a rich man. If I don't agree, he may do some harm to my husband or to me. So she made a plan. The next time the boy approached her, she said, "All right, I agree to your proposal. You come to my house in 1 week and I'll engage with you." He was very excited. In the meantime, the girl took some strong emetics and purgatives, and for 7 days she simply purged out all her beauty by vomiting and passing stool. Then she kept those vomits and stools in 2 pots. Now, if you pass stool for even 1 day, your features become ugly, and she passed stool and vomit for 7 days. So naturally she became very ugly. When the boy came to her, she was sitting at the door. He asked, "Where is that beautiful girl who was living here?" She said, "Yes, I'm she." "No, you are not. So she is so beautiful and you are so ugly." "No, I'm the same girl. Why you have become so ugly?" "Because I have extracted my beauty, extracted." Where is it? It is in these 2 pots. Just see, if you like, you can now enjoy my beauty. Now enjoy my beauty. Just take these 2 pots and enjoy my beauty. Actually, Srila Prabhupada continues, actually, if we dissect our body, we will find stool, urine, intestines, brains, muscles, blood, and so on. But because that stool, urine, muscle, brains, and intestines are so nicely decorated, the body can attract you. It is decorated with what? It is decorated with the skin. Everything is covered by skin. But if you will remove the skin, it will be something which will make you frightened and embarrassed. Like maybe you remember this famous place in that Terminator 2 movie when this person who is a robot, he is removing part of his skin from his hand, just to show, just to prove that he is a robot. And those people who were looking on this, they were not so much happy. The main illusion is created by skin. Skin is covering the body, and that's why we think that, so nice person. But basically, but actually, we are attracted by the consciousness, which is inside the body. Otherwise, if we will just remove the consciousness, and then not so much people will be attracted by their body. And we're going further after studying this classical Classical story, liquid beauty story. It is actually classical story given by Srila Prabhupada. We are going to the verse number 35. And Narottama Prabhuji, would you like to read the verse? Hare Krishna.
Yes, Hare Krishna. Shitra Shaktyanyor Evam Antaram Jnana Chakshusha Bhuta Prakriti Mokshamcha Ye Viduryanti Te Param. Translation. Those who see with eyes of knowledge the difference between the body and the knower of the body, and can also understand the process of liberation from bondage in material nature, attain to the supreme goal. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So you see, the process is such that basically we've discussed this subject matters here today during these classes. We're speaking about kshetra, kshetragya, process of liberation through following instructions of Super Soul, or because we are not qualified to listen to his orders, because it is possible on asakti level, basically, then we should stick to Guru Sadhu Shastra instead to listen of our materialistic mind, who is enemy of our spiritual life. It will be process of liberation, and process of bondage is the process when we follow the dictation of our mind. These things we have discussed today, and in purport, Srila Prabhupada explains that it is not just theoretical knowledge. We really need to listen about it from self-realized soul. The role of a spiritual master is very important here, because we can discuss it here during this Bhakti Shastri course. And I was trying to share some of my experience with you, and I suppose it was helpful, but in order to make this process more effective, we really have to listen the classes of our spiritual masters, Srila Prabhupada's classes and classes of our Diksha Guru, in order to understand how he explains these things with full conviction, with strong faith, with deep realization that we are not these bodies, that Super Soul is always with us, and so on. And it will be much more helpful if we listen to self-realized souls, to spiritual masters, and if we do it with faith, with real faith in their words. That's why in the purport Srila Prabhupada wrote, a faithful person should at first have some good association to hear of God, and thus gradually become enlightened. If one accepts a spiritual master, one can learn to distinguish between matter and spirit, and that becomes the stepping stone for further spiritual realization. A spiritual master, by various instructions, teaches his students to get free from the material concept of life. He teaches this. It is his responsibility, it is his qualification, it is his realization and inspiration, source of inspiration in his life. For instance, in Bhagavad Gita, we find Krishna instructing Arjuna to free him from materialistic considerations. One can understand that this body is matter. It can be analyzed with its 24 elements. And about gross material body, subtle material body, it is mentioned here. But anyway, again, Srila Prabhupada emphasizes this point at the end of the purport of this, to this verse, to the last verse of this chapter. These things are meant for contemplation and for realization, and one should have a complete understanding of this chapter with the help of the spiritual master. The role of a spiritual master is really great. We should listen from him about who is Paramatma, who is Krishna, and what is Kshetra, Kshetragya, and how everything is interrelated. It is the duty of Diksha Guru to give us this part of Vedic knowledge, which is called Sambandha Gyan. And it is meant for contemplation and for realization. It is written here. It means that it is not sufficient to read Bhagavad Gita just once or twice in our life. We should read it again and again. And in such way, this knowledge and this understanding will be becoming deeper and deeper. Like, sometimes devotees, they are asking the question, how I can become attentive in my chanting? Huh? And this question is very special because it is not one-time question. You have got the answer, you just try to concentrate. Someone told you the answer, we know the proper answer. You just try to concentrate. Don't worry, anyway, mind will be jumping here and there like a monkey, but you try to concentrate. It is the solution, we know the proper solution, but anyway, we are asking this question again and again to different devotees whose authority we accept, and in such process, in such way, we can become more and more realized and enlightened regarding this subject matter. The question how to chant attentively, it is not just one-time question, it is the question for the whole life. So basically, these subject matters from this chapter, 13th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, are also for the whole life. And we can ask these questions from different self-realized and authoritative devotees whom we trust, and it will be helping us to become more and more mature, because again, it is the question of Vigyan, it is the question of realization, it is the question of transformation of our consciousness. It is not the question of just information. It is not that I have read this from the book, then someone is telling me the same thing, and I'm just telling him, you don't tell me about this, I already have heard this, I know about this. No, this knowledge doesn't work like this. We should repeat it again and again, and in such way we will be progressing in our spiritual life. And now I'm going to show you one chart from one book. Just one moment, I will open this book. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Summarized chapter, the vision of knowledge. Again, what is included? What does it mean? Jnana Chakshu. If you wish, you can even take a photo from the screen. If you wish, maybe it will be helpful for you. What is included? Hare Krishna. What is included in this Jnana Chakshu, or in this vision? What does it mean to have spiritual vision? Point A. One can distinguish between spirit and matter in all circumstances. One sees all moving and non-moving as a combination of the field and knower of the field. B. One sees undestructible super soul accompanying the undestructible individual soul in all the bodies. C. One sees the super soul equally present everywhere. D. One sees that all activities are performed by the body and the self does nothing. E. One sees the living entity as distinct from the field of activities, means I'm not this body, there is a soul, there is body. F. One sees that soul never mixes with the body but is transcendental and eternal. Very important points, but again, it is not a cheap thing. It is not something cheap and easy. Spiritual practice is needed to realize all these things. And now, dear devotees, you see, I was planning to start 14th chapter, but looks like there is no time for this. But you see, just to begin, just let's begin this 14th chapter. Just let's read the first 4 verses without Sanskrit, without anything, just English translation of the first 4 verses. We will start from this, just in order to start the 14th chapter. And on Monday, we are going to discuss the details. It is 14th chapter, which is called 3 Modes of Material Nature. And we are going to read the first 4 verses from the screen. Just one moment. Mataji Mira, would you like to read these verses, 4 verses? All 4
Yes,
verses
Prabhu.
are for you only.
Yes, Prabhu. Hare
Okay.
Krishna. Text 1. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "Again, I shall declare to you this supreme wisdom, the best of all knowledge, knowing which all the sages have attained the supreme perfection." Text 2. By becoming fixed in this knowledge, one can attain to the transcendental nature like my own. Thus established, one is not born at the time of creation or disturbed at the time of dissolution. Text 3. The total material substance called Brahman is the source of birth, and it is that Brahman that I impregnate, making possible the birth of all living beings, O son of Bharata. Text 4. It should be understood that all species of life, O son of Kunti, are made possible by birth in this material nature, and that I am the seed-giving father. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. So you see,
Hare
there are
Krishna.
different species of life, different forms of life, which is these forms are provided by material nature, and there are souls who are parts and parcels of Krishna. And Krishna is saying about himself that he is Aham Bija Pradah Pita. He is father who gives seed to seed-giving father. He is impregnating this material existence with souls, parts and parcels of Krishna, parts and parcels of himself. And these souls, when they are in material creation, they get these material coverings, material bodies according to their karma. And then the next verses from verse 5 and all these verses from 14th chapter are about these material coverings, because there are different forms of life, and these forms of life are in different modes of material nature, and how these modes of material nature are influencing on activities of eternal parts and parcels of Krishna, Jivatmas, souls, how it happens. It is all described in 14th chapter. The symptoms of goodness, passion, ignorance are described, and the process how to become free from the influence of these 3 modes is also described. And now we're going to listen the question or opinion or whatever of Bhakti Priya Madhavi Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Sorry, I had one question in 13th chapter, Prabhuji. Can I ask now? Prabhuji, when you showed the summary of that from the notes, it said non-moving, moving and non-moving both are due to the activities of the Kshetra and Kshetrajna. Prabhuji, I didn't understand how non-moving, like moving means living entities, but non-moving means even matter. It can be even
very simple. Trees, bushes. There are such forms of life that don't move. Trees, bushes, plants,
means everything
flowers.
has life. Non-moving, life.
Yes.
Not the non-living. Okay.
In each and every tree also there is a soul.
Yes.
It is also a form of life. Okay, some more questions or thoughts, dear devotees? Please share your thoughts or questions. If you have. Dwarkadish Prabhuji, please.
Hare Krishna, bro.
Hare Krishna, nice to see you again.
Yeah. Sorry, bro. We understand consciousness is the representation of the soul, but to keep the consciousness very active, very pleasing, we also need to ensure the mind and senses must be in a very positive spiritual mode, right?
Mind and senses should be what?
Mind and senses must be always engaged in spiritual mode, so that the consciousness is always active. For example, Prabhu, sometimes I feel this way in my life. One day when I wake up, means I'm very fired up to chanting my round with very good sound, very always concentration, everything. After a few days later, immediately it goes down. It's an up and down kind of situation. So this I realized in my feeling the previous night when I have some kind of bothering, some trouble in my mind, it also affects the next morning.
Yeah.
So this could be one of the reasons, right? So to constantly keep the consciousness very active, we also make sure that our mind and senses are always in the spiritual positive mode.
Yeah.
Would that be right?
Absolutely, absolutely. As much as it is possible in each and particular case. That's why in our ISKCON centers, usually we read Krishna book and drink hot milk before going to sleep, just in order to how to say, to adjust our consciousness, to help ourselves to wake up on Mangala Arati. It means how to help one to attend Mangala Arati. One should not overeat before going to sleep. One should go to sleep in proper time. It would be nice to take hot milk. It would be nice to read something about Krishna. So it depends on determination. It depends on how serious we are in our spiritual life. And as much as we can do in our circumstances, it should be done for our benefit, spiritual benefit, and for Krishna's satisfaction.
One more question, Guru.
Yeah, please. Okay.
Consciousness sometimes is very friendly to others. Sometimes the consciousness is very envious to others.
Yeah.
How does this happen?
How, what?
So consciousness, the feeling, the consciousness, so-called consciousness, is very friendly to others. My consciousness very friendly to others.
Proud, envious,
Sometimes
and what is the question?
Very envious to others.
Yes, what is the question?
So why this is happening?
Why? Because we are conditioned souls. Because still we have to purify our hearts. If lust is manifested, the conclusion is very simple. Means lust is still there, or anger is still there, or envy is still there. Means we should just continue with spiritual practice. Means we are not ideal people. Some people can become really unhappy if they understood that they are not ideal. We should just accept it. Ideal, not ideal, okay. Just let me follow this path, which is given by Srila Prabhupada.
Good point.
Very simple.
Yeah.
It just means that some more tasks in spiritual life are still there. Means our spiritual journey is not finished. Means we're not in spiritual abode yet. It means like this.
It also could be Maya's influence.
Yes, it is Maya's influence in the sense that if it can be influence from within. It can be our own karma, our own inclinations that are inside ourselves. But anyway, these inclinations we have got because of our, it is bad effect of our association with material energy here. So, means ultimately it is related to Mahamaya, it is related to material energy also. But anyway, the reason of our sufferings and happiness, who is responsible for our sufferings and happiness? Do we remember? We were discussing this. Who is responsible?
Yeah. Yeah.
Who is responsible? We are responsible. Living entity himself is responsible. We cannot blame Mahamaya or we cannot blame Supreme Lord. It was our rebellious choice to be here like this.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
We should chant Hare Krishna and take prasadam. It is the solution. It is the solution. Yeah. Just let's continue with this practice as long as it is needed. Sometimes people are impatient. They are saying, why I didn't get Krishna Prema? I'm already 6 months in Krishna consciousness. Where is my Krishna Prema? It will take time. And even we don't know how long time it will take. We don't know how many years or decades or lives. It is the question of determination, because spiritual abode, it is something which is really worthy to achieve, and worthy to put endeavors for this. And we don't know how much endeavors is needed, but we should, how Rupa Goswami is saying, Srila Rupa Goswami, that one should be ready to pay a price. That's why we should continue with this process. We don't know how long it will take, but this determination is really important. Like in 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, we have read this story about bird and its eggs and ocean, right?
Yeah.
It can be even. It looks like even impossible for us to cleanse our heart from all contamination, anarthas, and so on. But anyway, we should be like this bird, like this sparrow. With its eggs, we should continue. Very simple. If our enthusiasm goes down, then we should associate with those who have inspiration, with those who have enthusiasm. Very simple.
Enthusiasm and determination is very important.
Yeah, enthusiasm, determination, and patience. It is nectar of instruction, verse number 3. Utsaha nishchaya daryat. It is written there. Hare Krishna. Okay, devotees.
Hare Krishna.
If
Thank you, Guru.
if you have some more questions, then I will answer on these questions on Monday, or maybe I should answer today. Narottam Prabhuji, you wanted to ask something, right?
I'm all right.
Okay. Then we will finish here. We will stop here. Thank you very much. See you on Monday. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa
Hare Krishna. Thank you
sindhubhyacha
very much.
patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavabhyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna.
Anand Kodi Vaishnavindi ki jai.
Ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you.